Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Kareem. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Mendel. I'm a physician by training. And I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but in the 90s, Yahoo decided to build the world's first search engine. And the way they did that is they manually indexed like every website you see out there. Then a couple of guys at Google obviously found out that this is not going to be scalable. Imagine if today, when you go to Google or to any search engine, it tells you you can only query 10% of the internet because that's what our team has manually curated. You would go crazy because we as humans always want to know more. Curiosity is part of us. And in healthcare, curiosity means saving patients. But actually, what we are doing in medical records is exactly that. We today analyze 10% of the medical records, which is the structured piece, tables. What does that mean is we are missing on other 80% of the medical records. I'm talking about PDFs, faxes, doctor notes. Why does that matter? Adverse events are captured in those things. If you catch fire on a surfboard, there's a billing code for that. If you have a non-small cell lung cancer, there is no billing code for that. So this is the kind of information that we have today. And what we do what Yahoo did in the 90s. We hire humans, manual abstractors to curate those records, and we end up with studies that have 200 patients of a sample size. What else do? We use AI, but today's AI is failing. What we do is we actually use AI that Google, Facebook, Amazon has built and tweak it to work in healthcare. It's literally like getting an English speaker to read an internal medicine book. They can read it, doesn't necessarily mean they will understand it. So what do you end up with? This is a super popular platform for clinical NLP. And if you put a sentence like, she was diagnosed with triple negative ductal carcinoma stage T2 M0 M0. What the system will tell you is that ductal carcinoma is a diagnosis. That means nothing. Basically, this is a breast cancer patient. There's 3 biomarkers tested negative in that patient. If you search, find me breast cancer patients, you're gonna miss that patient because the system didn't understand it. If you tell me which patients are HR, PR, ER negative, the system is not gonna get it. So it understands English, doesn't understand medicine. It cannot be an AI presentation without a ChatGPT, obviously, slide. And we got ChatGPT-4, fed it with a medical record, de-identified medical record, so nothing went wrong there. And we asked it, does the patient have any diseases? And the answer is no. Does the patient have cancer? And the answer is yes. And we all know that cancer is a disease. The problem here is a very famous drawback of those technologies called hallucination, which basically mean every time you get an answer, you're tossing a coin, and it's something that you cannot tolerate in healthcare. We don't only want to know more, we also want to know now. If you ask anyone who's licensing data, they will tell you if they have a customer asking them if they have breast cancer patients, that's a week and sometimes a month worth of a project to find those patients. If you are in the commercial team of a pharma company and you want to know how your asset is doing, that's a 6-month process. If you are recruiting for a clinical trial, every day is $10 million of lost revenue when you are delayed. We want to know now. But again, today's technology is failing us. In a very interesting experiment, we gave 100 questions to a team of humans and asked them to not use any technology. And then we gave the same 100 questions to a team who knows how to analyze data with SQL. Something that everyone does every day. Here's what happened. In 60% of the times, SQL failed to return any answers when there were patients eligible for those questions. 60% of the times. You better toss a coin. Your chances are higher than that. So when we looked at that, we were like, why, how are people doing business today? Like, how are people doing any decisions today? When I started Mendel 6 years ago, my parents obviously asked me, like, why do you want to quit medicine? And my answer was, I want to build Jarvis, the Iron Man for, if you watch Iron Man, I want to build Jarvis, sorry. And the idea of Jarvis is like, can you know things now? Can you know things by commanding the full spectrum of your data? And can you know things that others are not able to get? And today, after 6 years, I'm very excited. I didn't build Jarvis, but I built Hypercube. And we're very pumped to announce today the launch of the system, which think of it as a co-pilot that will allow you to interrogate any clinical data out there as long as it is text. So structured, unstructured data, it doesn't look at images, but it looks at everything else. It allows you to ask questions in free text. And it allows you to ask questions in free text. So you no longer need to write SQL queries. You no longer need to define. So this is, for example, a question, find me non-small cell lung cancer patients on anti-EGFR medication. If you want to write this in SQL, you have to define what is anti-EGFR, what is not, what's non-small cell lung cancer, and what's not. Today, with that system, it's as simple as writing your question in English, and you get an answer immediately. No more, no now. It's not only a system that allows you to find the needle in the haystack, it is also a system that allows you to answer questions. So once I define those patients, I want to know what are the outcomes of those patients? What happened? How many of them passed away? How many of them had partial response? Today, those questions take a few months, if not weeks, few weeks, if not months, to basically be answered. With this system, again, no more, no now, you can interrogate those records immediately. It is not a black box. I'm a founder of an AI company, but I can tell you, AI fails sometimes. If you own a Tesla, I'm sure you got in a couple of incidents with that. So in healthcare, you need an AI that can self-explain itself. Everything that we surface through that system is brought in. So I find an answer, and the next step is I show you the evidence in the medical record, the snippets in the original source document on why that AI made that inference. And I can tell you, not a lot of AI companies want to do that because you will see a lot of problems if you start verifying the answers of some of those questions. It obviously looks like ChatGPT. And in this conference, I got the question, like, how do you guys compare to ChatGPT? For disclaimer, we don't use ChatGPT. We are superior to anything out there when it comes to medical records. I want to repeat that. We are superior to anything out there when it comes to medical records. Everyone today and their grandmother are building an AI company, so we decided to get a team of oncologists in University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine and ask them to validate our claims. So we ran 3 clinical trials against a cohort of 1,000 patients, and we basically wanted to see how many eligible patients did those systems get. One system is Hypercube, the other is obviously ChatGPT-4, and the third is Llama, an open source large language model by Facebook that is gaining a lot of popularity. It's supposed to be the second best thing after ChatGPT. I mean, we knew that we are going to outperform them. But the thing that really was interesting is the question that took us milliseconds took ChatGPT 4 hours. And I know this is results that it's like, wow, how? The reason is, when you are feeding a large language model, you have to feed it with context window, some X number of pages. And today, I think this is like 40 pages or something. A patient medical record, one patient medical record in cancer is 1,000 pages. So what do? You break it into chunks and you start feeding the model each chunk separately. That process takes 4 hours on 1,000 patients, and it scales linearly, meaning if it is 2,000 patients, that's 8 hours. With Mendel, again, this was built for healthcare. We don't have to do that, so the answer gets in milliseconds. The other thing is, how much is the cost? When we were talking cents, those systems were talking into tens of dollars. So we were better, we were faster, we were more cost effective, and that is why we are superior than anything out there. Why? Because in healthcare, if you read a medical record, page 1, the doctor says the patient is stage 1 cancer. Later on, you find a pathology report saying the patient is metastatic. Those two things cannot go together. So if you build the best AI engine on earth, you end up with 2 conflicting facts. That cannot fly. So you need a machine that understands medicine like a physician would do. A machine that can reason and tell you a pathology report is more trusted. This is a stage 4 cancer patient. It is not a stage 1 cancer patient. And if you rely on large language models trained on medical records, which we do, by the way, you end up with the brain of a cat. That's literally what you end up with. But if you couple it with a very old type of AI called symbolic AI, you end up with the brain of a human. What is that? So machine learning learns by training it. You feed it with data, it looks at words co-located together and learns from that. While symbolic AI doesn't learn from data, it learns from experts. And it's not what if statements. It's not if you see this, do that, because those wouldn't scale in healthcare. So what we have done at Mendel is we've built a team of physicians that for the last 4 years we trained them to think like AI scientists. And we built a team of AI scientists that we trained them to think like physicians. And the output of those two is a hybrid system that has a large language model trained on medical records, not Reddit, not the internet, and coupled with a symbolic system that understands the correlation between things, not the co-location. If you feed a large language model with data with the opioid crisis, it will recommend opioids to patients because it sees that doctors are doing that. It doesn't reason. With the symbolic AI in the driving seat, you don't get those types of errors. So clinical AI is not just AI. It is an AI that should know how to reason. It should know how to understand patient record, not a page or a document. It should not hallucinate. You should get the same answer. And if it fails, it should fail consistently. It cannot succeed one time and fail one time. It is a system that is explainable. If you don't have those 4 systems, you may have a great AI system, but you don't have a clinical AI system. And if you want a clinical AI system, again, Hypercube is the system that you need to get. Because with Hypercube, 1, you can command the full spectrum of your data. I know there is another chat with your real-world data product that launched last week. Any product that cannot look at structured and unstructured data is looking at 10% of your data. You cannot know more. What it also can do, it democratizes analytics. You don't have, as someone who knows medicine, to explain things to someone who knows how to write code. If you have a question, you deserve to know more, deserve to know now by writing plain English. What it also does, it turbocharges your speed to answer. Some of the questions that we're playing with today literally takes months. And now, with a click of a button, you get an answer for those things. I'm super pumped to announce Hypercube today. I think if I want to summarize what we have worked on for this product, it is know more, know now, and thank you so much.